In this lesson, we will work on systems that will give us control over the mech's toes. Let's take a look at something. When we grab the center of gravity control and we start to translate down, you can see how the feet will intersect our floor plane. And of course, that's a problem, right? The feet should remain planted. So what we'll do is go ahead and design systems that will prevent this from happening, and we'll also be able to have complete control over the toes by the end of this. That way, if we need to, we can add a bit of follow through as the leg starts to move. All right, fun stuff. So let's say we go ahead and get started. What we'll do first is control the orientation of our toe bones. And we can use orient constraints to accomplish this. Let's go ahead and hide our model. Now we need something to orient constrain to. Let's go ahead and create locators. So we'll just go ahead and create a locator. Fantastic. Once it has been made, we might have to go to its local scale. Let's go down to its shape node. And we'll go ahead and start to drag this up with the middle mouse button so it's a bit easier to select. Much better. So you might set your value to about 25. Any value would work really, as long as it's easy to select. Alright, fantastic. Now let me show you a trick. We can now take this locator and align it to the position and orientation of this bone object. How do we do that? Well, watch. With it selected, we'll go ahead and shift select the bone to align the locator to. We can now go ahead and press the P key. Take a look at what has happened to the locator. It has inherited the transformations of our bone object. So by these values, we know the exact position and orientation of this object. Let's go ahead and now zero out these values and take a look at what has happened. Now you can see that the locator is aligned to this bone object because there's no longer any offset between it and its parent. How cool. So let's do this. We'll go ahead and duplicate the locator, and then we'll parent it to the bone at the back, so the back toe bone. So after shift selecting that bone, we'll go ahead and press the P key. Take a look. Those are the offset values. Let's go ahead and zero them out. And now this locator is aligned to this toe bone. Sweet. So once we've done that, let's say we go ahead and rename these so we could stay organized. So this first one that we made, we'll go ahead and give this a name of LOC DRV for locator driver, since it's going to be driving something, underscore L underscore toe FT01. Fantastic. I'll now go ahead and copy this name and we'll use it to rename the next locator. So instead of FT, that's going to be BK. Nice. Alright, so once they have been renamed, we'll then want to bring these over to the right side. So I'll just go ahead and take this locator at the back, duplicate it, parent it to the front toe bone on the right side. We'll go ahead and zero out those values as we've done already. And let's now duplicate this object. And then we'll go ahead and parent to the back toe. Fantastic. Once we've done that, we'll go ahead and zero out our values. Alright, fantastic. So we have our locators in place. Now, very important, we want to unparent them because we only use the locators to figure out the alignment that we need for the toe bones to be constrained with no offset. So let's go ahead and do this. With this one we have selected, we'll go ahead and press Shift P to unparent it. We'll also want to grab the next locator, the one in front, and again we'll press Shift P to unparent it. Let's do the same thing for the locators on the left side. With both selected, we'll press Shift P. Fantastic. So now we have something to constrain to, something that will not give us any offset values. And that's a very important step because of what we'll take a look at shortly when we constrain these bone objects down. Now here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to go ahead and quickly rename the locators on the right side just to make sure we don't overlook that step. To stay organized. So there's one. And then let's go ahead and take care of the other. Again, we're going in and we're changing the L to an R. And we're changing that last value we have to a 1. And it almost looks like we might have to rename one of these. It looks like the one at the front has to have a suffix of FT. And that's, again, the beauty of a solid naming convention. By simply renaming the locator at the back, I was able to figure out that, hey, one of my objects has the same name. So I have to be really careful and make sure that there's no naming clash, right? Fantastic. So after these have been renamed, now we can take both locators and we can parent to our leg controllers. Fantastic. So that means when we're ready to finally orient constrain our toe bones to these locators, they will follow our leg controls. Cool. So guess what? It's time to constrain. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll grab our locator first, shift select the bone object to constrain, and now we'll choose constrain and we'll apply an orient constrain. No need for maintain offset, so we can go to our options, we can reset our settings, and click add. Fantastic. So watch, there are no offset values at all. Now what do I mean by that? Well, let's go ahead and take a look at something. If I were to go ahead and grab, let's say, the leg control here, and then shift select the back toe bone, that doesn't have a constraint. If I were to now press the G key to apply the constraint, you can see how the toe bone is going to shift to match the orientation of the leg control. So that's why we created the locators in the first place, to prevent this from happening. Because now we're out of our neutral pose right when this happens, and take a look, it breaks the model. Not cool. So let's go ahead and press the Z key to undo back. And now we'll go ahead and constrain this last toe bone. So we'll go ahead and take the locator, we'll go ahead and grab the bone object to constrain, and then we can go back to our orient constrain tool. Fantastic. So watch this. If we were to grab our leg control and we start to move it, you might notice a difference with the orientation of the toes. You can see how they no longer rotate as we move this control. Also watch this. When we grab the center of gravity control, as we start to translate this down, let's select the y-axis and we'll start to just middle mouse button click and drag down. You can see the difference between the right side and the left side. You can see how the left foot remains planted, whereas the right side, we need to go ahead and take care of that, right? To make sure it doesn't intersect. So that is the purpose behind these locators. Let's go ahead and make sure we constrain the toe bones on the right side. I'll go ahead and leave that up to you. Again, it's just a matter of grabbing the locator, grabbing the bone object, and applying your constraint. And in the next lesson, we will finish the setup process of the mech's feet.